Hello, I'm Dave Koji. Welcome to the Pickleball Lounge, where I speak to influential members of the pickleball community about their involvement and experience on and off the pickleball court. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Astria Pickleball for sponsoring this episode. Head over to astriapickleball.com for their innovative paddles and gear. Today we have Dylan Frazier, who I'm really excited about. Dylan is currently ranked number 7 in the world according to World Pickleball Rankings. He currently resides in Nashville, Missouri, and started playing pickleball in 2016 when he was 15 years old. He picked up the paddle for the first time and decided to play again with his grandparents in Florida. After that, Dylan was hooked, and then he began playing. You will find Dylan in PPA Tour events, now winning gold medals, and an MLP on the California Black Bears team with Andrea Koop, Federico Staksrud, and Maggie Brasha. You'd also find him on his home court at the Show Me Pickleball Club. Thanks, Dylan, for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dave. Excited to be here.
Thank you. Now, I mentioned it, but I do want to bring up again. Congrats on the gold medal with J.W. Johnson at the Vulcan Indoor National Championships that just happened this past week in Minnesota. So how does it feel to work so hard and be rewarded for that hard work?
Yeah, no, it feels good. We've definitely been working at it for a while. It was one of the goals that we kind of ourselves this year. We thought that it was a pretty reasonable goal, and we got it kind of somewhat early on. I think this was the third or fourth tournament of the year, and so hopefully there's many more to come. But it definitely felt great to get that first one.
Yeah, no, it was exciting to watch, and I think you guys have such a great chemistry on the court, and it seems like that carries over your friendship off the court as well. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, for sure. We've got good chemistry. We're good friends on and off the court, like you said, and definitely carries over onto the court. We want to be better for each other, and we kind of are on the same page most of the time, so it works out great.
Now, did you know JW before you started playing pickleball, or did you discover him while you're on the pickleball scene?
While on the pickleball scene, actually, I think I saw him play in a couple of videos, like professionally. He started playing pro, I think, just a few months before I did, or maybe even a little longer than that. But I think the first time I met him was at the Punta Gorda tournament 2 or 3 years ago now.
Okay. So, you've been so kind to me, and you seem to carry no ego, a very humble individual. How have you managed to stay humble despite your rise, despite the success, despite the media attention?
Yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that. I think I have to give credit to my parents here. They've kind of all my values that are in me. They've kind of instilled in me from a young age. So I appreciate you saying that. I don't really have to think about it that much, just because my parents, I think, set a great example for me growing up, and I could kind of look up to them. They're great role models for me, and I just try to be a lot like them. And yeah, I mean, we're just out here having fun, so I don't see really any need to play to carry an ego with me. It's not like we're on a world stage or anything. Maybe yet, hopefully,
Yeah, yeah.
one day. Hopefully one day we'll get there. But right now, I mean, I just started playing for fun. I think when I first started playing pickleball, I was low level for one, and I was playing for medals and t-shirts. Like I didn't have any goals of like doing a living out of this, certainly when I started. So now I'm just happy that it's gotten to a point where I can do that, and I'm just pretty grateful for that.
So at what point did you say to yourself that, you can go from playing as a rec player at your home court to playing at the highest levels?
Yeah, it took me a long time, longer than most professional players that are playing right now, I'd say. So I've been playing for 7 years now, and I started at a 3.5 level, and playing in the Show Me Pickleball Club, who was really receptive to my mom and I and dad when we started playing, and just started playing tournaments, started gradually getting better. I think the more time you put into it, you're going to start seeing results, especially since I was kind of younger when I started. The growth started happening maybe at a faster rate than it does for some other people, just because it was so new to me. There was a lot to learn. But really, to get up to that pro level, it took me. I've been playing on the pro scene for 2.5, 3 years now. So it took me a good 4 years to get to that point. And I was watching a lot. I remember watching a lot of film of other professional players at the time, like when I was just starting, and it was like the Dave Weinbachs and Kyle Yates playing in the gold medal match against Wes Gabrielson and Aspen Kern or someone. And so it's kind of cool that I was watching all these guys and kind of picking up tips from them and modeling some of my game after them, and now I get to play against them.
So now that you're at this level, and it took you a while to get here, and that's what passion will do. So those that are watching, you can't continue to do anything and persevere and go through the hard times without the passion for the game, right? I mean, that's I think that's pretty obvious. But now that you're here, have you seen now that you're with the in group with the best players, have you picked up things that accelerate your game even now because you are able to play with them, practice with them?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime I'm able to get out on a court and practice with some of these other higher level players, it's super helpful. Especially I think if you use your practice time wisely, which can be different for different people. But for me, like you can kind of go out there and experiment with different shots and see what works and what doesn't work. Like if you go and you play against maybe some players that are a little lower level than you, then sometimes you can get away with things that you wouldn't be able to get away with at the highest level. So it's definitely helpful to practice against other players of that caliber and kind of see what works and what doesn't work. And I think really just playing a lot of tournaments too helps tremendously. Like I feel like between each of these tournaments, like everybody's level is getting higher, like gradually. So I feel like if someone were to not play a few tournaments in a row, like they would fall a little bit behind, just because the whole game itself is getting to a higher level.
Yeah. Now you could definitely see the change in the skill level as well as people do take it more seriously as you start to see people turn to pro exclusively. I just had a interview with Connor Garnett, and he mentioned that he's focusing more on pickleball now. Still has other interests outside of pickleball, but it seems like as this game grows, the people that are going to put the work and effort in are actually going to evolve with it. So
Yeah.
we kind of you just touched upon this, but I know it's important to me. And I know it's important to you, but your family. How important is your family, especially as you go through this journey?
Very important. Like they're always like my mom and dad. I can always kind of fall back to them. They're like my little safety net, if you will. But they're great. I couldn't have done anything that I'm doing today without their support and their help from an early age. So super appreciative, like I said, for them and their support and just their being in my life, and hopefully that doesn't change. I don't think it will. But pickleball is just so fun because it brings us together. My mom and dad and I all started playing together at the same time. My mom and I played tournaments together. I've even played a tournament with my dad, and but my mom and I we played at like 5-0 level. We played a couple pro tournaments together. So she and I were a team in tournaments all the way up until I started playing professionally and at a higher level. And I drove with my dad all the time at the backyard of our house. So it's just awesome that we can do this together, and it kind of brings us together.
Yeah, it's really cool to be playing a sport that you all can actually enjoy and play together. Um, Now I would love to see you and your mom on the pro tour, but it sounds like she's a 5.0. That's impressive by itself. Um, so you seem so I want to talk about JW Johnson. You seem to have a really good on-court chemistry. How did you know that he would be a good partner for you? Was there a feeling out process? Was there a discussion about how you play your game? What led you to say, yeah, this is my guy?
Yeah, well, I think just because of our off the court relationship kind of was growing at the time, and we just enjoy each other's company, so that's a big part of it. Like the chemistry factor, it might be a little underrated, but it's super important that you have that on the court. So being good friends off the court makes us want to play together on the court more, just because we enjoy our time with each other, like win or lose. As long as we're having fun, which we usually are, it's all that matters. But I think the first tournament I played with them was a Cincinnati tournament, maybe APP. And I remember It was the first time we played together, and I think we got fourth. Like, you
Hmm.
know, at the time for us, like that was good, but we were kind of trying to push to like that podium, maybe get first or second. Like the goal was to podium for sure, and we didn't quite make it. But that was our first tournament, and then we got a few more tournaments together, and we started gradually doing better, kind of figuring out like the tendencies of each other and what each one liked to do, and figured out what pattern was best for us. And we figured out the J Dub on the left and me playing the right. We did pretty well in that position just because JW is so good on the left, and he dinks well, and well, everybody knows if you've seen him play, like
Yeah.
he's and then I was able to kind of play that support role, and set him up, and counter well when I needed to. Like we kind of both just specialized almost together. Like our certain roles, like we did what we had to do to be good together. And so far it's been great.
Yeah, no, it's fun to watch for sure. Now I have to ask, you two look like the most common cool people out there playing pickleball. Do you ever get in disagreements or anything like that with him, or is it just kind of smooth sailing?
Definitely not always smooth sailing. And I think we'd have a lot more gold medals at this point. But yeah, I think for the most part, we're always on the same page. Like if one of us will ask the other one what we think we need to do, and the other one will respond. And generally, like we're in agreement with each other. Like we both see the same things. I think being really relaxed on the court and kind of almost being able to joke with each other during the match. It's not so much like we're joking and kind of messing around out there, but it's
Yeah.
almost like a way to kind of keep us relaxed and calm. And when you're calm and relaxed and you don't feel as much pressure, then I think you play a little bit looser. You don't make as many mistakes, and you just play better in general. So I think kind of keeping that light mood on the court, like we know that if we lose, we're gonna come back, and we're gonna fight through the back draw, or there's always the next tournament. So I think just kind of keeping it lighter on the court really helps stay relaxed and be able to play better.
So how important is trusting your partner to be there for you, to be your support system? We have our good and bad times. It seems like you all have a trust with each other.
Yeah, and I think that just comes with time. Like if you
Yeah.
see a lot of partnerships maybe come out with a slower start, like they don't do as well, but the partners are just trying to figure each other out. And that was certainly the case for JW and I when we first started playing together. But we've been playing for so long together now. We've got so many tournaments under our belt that we do trust each other, and we kind of know which shots the other one's going to take. It's funny because I think like if you go back and watch us play, like there's sometimes where I'll run up to the net, and someone will hit a drive by me that I could probably hit, but I don't like. I just let it go by me, and I don't even turn around because I know JW is going to be there with his forehand to clean it up. So we've definitely gotten a lot better about that. Like we know whose shot is whose, and we don't get confused a lot. But that's just come over time. Like because to begin with, we definitely weren't at that point. But now since we played so many tournaments together, we have a lot more trust in each other.
Yeah, it's almost like you're in sync that you kind of know what the other person's gonna do. You just know their game. So James Ignatowicz, quite the character.
Yeah.
um, so JW was on his podcast or show, and he has this habit of just bashing your overhead, calling it a reset when you hit it. Care to comment on that?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely not going to claim to have the best overhead out there, but I do feel pretty confident that once a point gets to me hitting an overhead, like more often than not, we're going to win that point. Maybe not on my first shot because it's not the most powerful, it's not the most potent weapon out there, but at the same time, like I'm not losing points off of it, and it's definitely something I'm working on, and could be improved, and I think it is getting better because people figured out that I don't have a very strong overhead. So I've gotten lobbed a lot. Like when people get on defense, one of their favorite things to do is lob me because it kind of keeps the point alive. But I've gotten so many lobs now. Like I've gotten so many reps hitting overheads that it's getting better. Like it's going to get better inevitably if I keep hitting overhead after overhead after overhead. And so I think that hopefully won't be a problem for too much longer.
Yeah, I mean, if you keep practicing and you keep getting them, the weakness will eventually turn into a strength, right?
Yeah.
So thanks for indulging me in that one. I just thought that was funny. So who are the most difficult men's players to play in both singles and doubles?
And singles and doubles. Well, and singles, I think it like JW is a great singles player. James is a great singles player. Federico Stackshrew is a great singles player. There's the singles field is really deep now. Like I could name like 10 other
Yeah.
people tough to play. Um, the singles field is just deep, and I feel like it's like anybody can beat anybody if one person's playing well. Especially in the back draw when matches are shorter, games to 15, you see a lot of upsets there. Um, on the double side, I think Ben and Colin and Matt and Riley, who probably anybody would say just because of how well they're doing right now, but they really are. I think almost not on another level, but like consistently they do better than the rest of the field, and they're tough to play. But this last tournament, like it was JW and I have been close to Matt and Riley a few times, but haven't quite like we've had match points against them, but haven't pulled out the match. But this last tournament in Minnesota, we were kind of overcame the hump and got over it anyway, and that was the first time we beat them. So JW and I feel like we're right there. Like on any given day, we could go out there and win against any team. We feel like, um, but those two teams are definitely tough. They're playing at a pretty high level right now.
So what do you think the difference is between those two teams and everyone else, even you and JW? Is it because obviously you're all very skillful, right? There's not a lack of skill. Is it a lack of consistency, or do they have that consistency that keeps them on the top?
Yeah, I think consistency is a huge thing. I think one misnomer, more so for lower level players that are looking up to these higher level players, is they think that the best. If you're the best player in the world, it means you can hit shots that no one else can hit. But that's not really the case. Like,
Hmm.
the shots that Ben Johns is hitting are really good. Don't get me wrong, and tough to master. But like, there's a lot of other players that might be able to hit the same shot as him. The difference is that he can execute it 9 out of 10 times. Like the consistency is unreal for those two teams, and I think that really is the big separators. Is just that they're so efficient with what they do, getting up to the kitchen line, like in transition zone. They don't give you a lot of mistakes. They're just put the ball in play. Very few unforced errors.
Yeah, consistency, unforced errors, obviously will kill an game, and also a pro player too if you're not on. But it's very interesting. It's on a kind of same questions on the female side. So, who are you? There's some obvious ones, but who are some women players when you're playing mixed doubles that kind of worry you?
Yeah, mixed doubles. Usually in mixed doubles, I think the females that have good counters that can kind of make the guy think twice about speeding up to them are the toughest to play. And so you've got like Annalie Waters is obviously great. Anna Bright has good counters. Andrea Koob, Georgia Johnson. Georgia Johnson's playing really well right now. She's getting better and better every tournament. But for the most part, just women that can kind of put pressure on the guy and like I said, make them think twice about being able to go to them. Whereas like in my opinion anyway, the females that are resetting more or just trying to block or neutralize what the guy's doing aren't not as threatening as the other girls that can punch it past them.
Yeah, interesting. Brought up Georgia Johnson, who obviously plays with her brother JW. She is looking great. And I don't think many people know that. I think she's only 17. So she's just a year older than Anna Lee, right? And so there's a lot of growth in there as well. So no, she looks fantastic. Really
Yeah,
good.
yeah, she's playing really well.
Okay. Hypothetical question I'm gonna throw at you, Dylan.
Okay.
If JW won the Powerball and said, what, I'm gonna retire from pickleball, and you had your pick of any other men's doubles partner, who would you choose and why?
Okay. That's a good question. Um, First of all, that'd be really cool if J-Dub won the Powerball. But if I had to pick someone else to play men's doubles, there's so many people, and I've actually played with a lot of different men's doubles partners. But one person I haven't played with that I would be kind of interested in trying out is James Ignatowicz, and I
Yeah.
kind of like his style. He's pretty aggressive. He's playing a lot better, and he's getting a lot better pretty fast. Double gold at the Minnesota tournament
Mhm.
this weekend. He's doing well, and I think our styles would kind of go well together. So if JW won the Powerball and retired from pickleball, I think I would test it out with James.
Yeah, I tell you what, you're right about James. He's got a little bit of an unorthodox style too, but he just and I heard that I think it was Catherine Parento after their win said he's such a positive spirit out there, keeps your spirits up, and I think that's probably important. I think you appreciate it as well. He just seems like what a great skilled individual that is. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think probably a lot of people share your sentiment about James. So Dylan, how do you see pickleball evolving over the next few years as it's starting to gain all this popularity?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think a lot of it is kind of unpredictable. Honestly, like so many different things could happen. Like any player could come into it, but I think as far as play wise, you're starting to see the game speed up a little bit more. More third shot drives than drops, and then dropping the fifth or seventh ball. So I think the pace of the game is picking up a little bit. The paddle technology is improving. Right now, we've got some paddles out here that you can hit the ball at speeds like beyond a point that you can react to. Like with some of these paddles out here, they're so hard that someone could smack it at you and you can't react to it. So I think a lot of it depends on what they allow and don't allow with paddle technology in the future, because it is getting to a point where if certain paddles are allowed, or like there's no limit, then I think the game's going to pick up speed a lot. Like people are going to speed up a lot of balls, maybe not quite as much dinking. Um, and I think, as far as like tournament format or like, PPA, MLP, I don't know. It's hard to tell right now, but I could see, so in terms of spectating, like MLP has seemed to be the best for pickleball, or at least the most popular event to spectate. And people just kind of like that atmosphere. The whole team aspect of it is just unique. Part of me wonders whether the rarity of MLP is part of what draws people to it, because it only happens 6 times a year. So like if we did it every single weekend or every other weekend, like a PPA tournament, would it be as popular? And I don't know what the answer to that question is, but I think yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm very hopeful about it. I think it's going to keep growing. I don't see any reason why it's not going to keep growing, at least in the near future.
Do you like obviously PPA and MLP are different in the fact that MLP is a team, more like a team sport, if you will. Do you prefer that a team atmosphere, or do you like the PPA where you just kind of either you're on your own or with your JW or your mixed singles partner?
Yeah, well, I like both, but personally, I think I probably prefer just a standard PPA tournament, like double elimination draw. You're just with one other partner. But MLP is definitely fun. Like I said, partly because of its rarity. Like it doesn't happen that often, and the whole team event you're playing for 3 other people as opposed to just one is that's pretty fun. Having all these celebrity owners come into the sport, that's really cool. MLP MLP is awesome, but from just a player's standpoint, just a competitive standpoint, I like the traditional format of double elimination, one partner.
Yeah, I think you're right. It would be good if they kept both of them. I think that you get the best of both worlds. I know from a spectator perspective, I enjoy both. I like watching both. I think the MLP does bring a bit more excitement, and I think it's because of the players are hyping up, and you have some of the owners getting hyped up, and uh, I don't know if the nostalgia of having celebrity owners goes away a little bit, and then it's just the play, but I guess time will tell.
Yeah.
Um, do you think that um do you think that calling your own lines will go away eventually, and that you'll have technology to like the Hawkeye, or probably not maybe the line judges, but do you see calling your own lines going away eventually?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in an ideal situation, players wouldn't have to call their own lines. Like they would have that technology, like Hawkeye, being able to call the lines for the players, because for the players and the referees, it's difficult to make line calls, and everybody does their best, but there's definitely going to be missed calls, because you've got to turn around and
Right.
look line and find the ball, and it's sometimes there's like they're really close to the line, and you have to be, at a certain position to be able to make a call on the ball at all. So I think better technology for line calls is definitely needed right now, and is probably something that will happen in the future. I think a while ago they experimented with just with having a referee on every single line, but there were some more controversial calls, and I think the players felt like they may be able to do a better job calling their own lines as long as everybody's fair about it than some of the referees that they had. And for like the referees that have to watch the kitchen line, like it's tough for them too because they need to make sure there's no foot fault on the kitchen line, and then they have to find wherever the ball was hit and see if they can make a call on it. And so it's just tough for everybody. And I think the technology is needed and will come.
Yeah. So I see you have a DF clothing brand. So how's that going? What's next for it? How can people buy it?
Yeah, so they can go to it actually started out like Team Dylan Frazier, TDF merchandise. Started out it was like a little fundraiser that I did in my hometown, Columbia, Missouri, and we did an event at like a rec center there, and people came out and were able to buy merchandise, and we did like an exhibition match with me, and then I was just meeting and talking to a lot of different people from kind of all over Missouri, or at least mostly the local area. But it was just a fundraiser at first, but it was very popular, and so my mom actually had the idea of releasing more TDF merchandise, kind of doing a round two. And we came out with more apparel, kind of different variations, and it was great. She kind of ran it as like a little pop up store, and it did well. It did well. You can still buy them if you go to my Instagram page. You can find the link on my bio, and it takes you right to the site, and you can look at all the different options that we're providing right now. But yeah, I mean, it was a fundraiser at first. It was a fundraiser at first, and then because it was so popular, like we decided to do it again.
Yeah, and I'll put a link to your, well, obviously I'll tag you into on the post when I put it in the Instagram, but I'll make sure people know to go there as well. Um so there was I don't know if this is on your website or there was a news piece on you, a video news piece on you where they actually followed you to your hometown, kind of like almost like a day in a life of you, but I thought it was really funny. One of the people that you may play with regularly said he got really good and made it. Well, we never got better. How is it? It must be, I would assume, a thrill for them to see a local guy who they've played with who's now playing at the elite level. How are you embraced by that community in your home pickleball court?
Yeah, it's awesome. Like I've got so much support in my hometown, Columbia. There's just like so many people rooting for me and helping me out. Like everybody that showed up to the fundraiser and could contributed in some way. And then I've got like a lot of friends that are looking for places that I can stay at some of these tournaments, or like trying to set me up with some connections or like some kind of sponsor that they think would be good for me. Like I've got so much support, and I'm so thankful for it. Like in Columbia, Missouri, and then even St. Louis, Missouri. I've got a lot of support there. Kansas City, Missouri, all over the place. So it's really fun to be able to come back home, and everybody's kind of rooting for you and says great job, and says I've been watching you. I'm so happy for your success. Like it's awesome, and I'm super thankful for it.
Yeah, no, that's really cool to hear. I mean, just in general, the pickleball community seems like wherever you go, it is so inviting and supportive. That's one of the reasons why I fell in love with the game too. It's just you just immediately make friends.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
really.
really cool. So I do want to move us into our final segment, which is pickleball tips. So for those intermediate players out there, what are some tips, Dylan, that you could share with them so they can improve their game?
Yeah, so I think the large separator between a lot of levels really truly is consistency. So I think figuring out like going for high percentage shots, like for everybody, myself included, like it's tempting to go for like really cool shots or like special shots that you think are gonna like look really good if they go in, like kind of like highlight real shots. But really, like when the game's being played at the highest level, players are going for the highest percentage shot. They're not making many mistakes at all. So whatever ways you can find to be more consistent, it's gonna do you a lot of good and maybe take you to the next level. For me, when I was working my way up to the pro level, I did a lot of drilling with people around my skill level or at a higher level than me. When I was working my way up through the rankings from 3-5 all the way to where I am now. Also playing tournaments, getting tournament experience, I find very helpful because at least for me, that's where I'm like 100% focused, like in the zone. And sometimes you got to be when you're in matches, like something's not working, and you have to adapt and make changes on the fly. And once you see that, then you can go back and to wherever you play on a regular basis and kind of work on that, or with the people you play with, or you can drill it. And you can benefit from, a lot of people think like you have to play against higher level players to get better, but I think you can benefit from playing even lower level players. You just have to kind of know what to do in that situation. Like if you're playing against lower level players, you don't be so concerned about winning. Like work on shots that you need to be practicing, or try to develop a new shot that would be useful if you mastered at some point for your game. And then when you're playing against higher level players, you can kind of take all the little things you're working on and see what's working, what's not working, what you can continue doing, what you can't continue doing. But really just lots of practice, lots of reps. Drilling is very helpful. And then playing higher level players, like I said, is helpful too.
Awesome. Well, Dylan, I can't thank you enough again for joining the show here and spending some time with us. And again, I'm going to be putting the link to your clothing brand in the description. And thanks again, Dylan. And best of luck to you. Hopefully more golds to come in your future. And good luck to you and JW and your singles and your mixed doubles as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Dave.
Sure thing. Have a good day.
All right, you too.
Bye.